All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Culture Mix. This is, what's this episode?
12.
This is 12?
Yes.
We are officially on episode 12. I'm certified. I got Maria across from me and Tosh to my left. Today's topic is going to be about emotional loneliness. We're going to go ahead and get to it.
So, emotional loneliness is defined as the presence of meaningful relationships. Could be social loneliness. It could also be perceived with the quality of social connection, which can change from feeling separated from others or the world itself. So for me was the thing of, I wonder how many people, like, do you think everyone deals with some type of loneliness throughout their lifetime? Like, do you think, because to me there's no way, no matter how, I would say, people person you are, there has to be some type of phase in your life where there had to be some type of loneliness. There's no way. And that's whether it's on the outer appearance, like you a loner, or you like to yourself, or you just had a moment or time or season where you were just, dang man, I feel by myself, but you're surrounded by people. I think a lot of people deal with that. That's whether it's in your head, because I was very good for it, being in a house full of, it was 4 of us, plus my parents. So being in a house, even with us, I could still be in a room and be like, still feel alone. And I'm surrounded by family, but still be like, so into myself that it seems like I'm by myself. So the first question is, how do you think emotional loneliness even starts? Like, do it start when you was little? Do it start like teenager?
Nah, I think it definitely started when you was a kid. I only say that because, like as you growing up, let's say you got brothers and sisters and such. Like, you get in school, you the new kid on the block.
That's true.
You don't know nobody there unless, like, you was one of them schools where all your brothers and sisters and went to, so you done met the people outside of that or something. I definitely think it starts there, and it's not, I don't necessarily think it could be a bad thing, only because it kind of helps you develop and understand that you will be alone sometimes, and it's not necessarily to the point to where, like, everybody is just pushing you away, but just off the straight fight, there is going to be a point in time in your life where it is just going to be just you, and you have to process and deal with just yourself alone, no matter what your thoughts and such are. But I definitely think it does start when you're a kid, even with that, and then growing up in the house, like if it's maybe just 2 of y'all, or if it's 5 of y'all, most of the time, when you are like the second to last born, a lot of times the other ones not really paying you that much attention.
Right.
So they really doing what they did, depending on the time frame of when you did grow up, like maybe our generation or theirs, whoever's. I mean, parents can't exactly do the same thing that we're able to do now. And like, even with that being said, like the kids, like they have more access to the sports environment. I mean, esports, clubs, whatever. And technically, I kind of feel like parents are just a little bit more available now to be there for kids in that matter than they was before. And that alone can create a sense of loneliness, because you can, like you was just saying, you can always be in that room full of family members and people, but it's like, physically they're there.
Right.
But their energy and their presence is just like, you don't see that. You don't feel that. So it's it can definitely start when you were a kid and gradually start to go away as you get older. But I always feel like you definitely got to take the good with the bad when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Just to have an understanding of how to be alone, how to deal with yourself alone, and just also understanding and having a clear understanding of that. Like you may feel like that when you're around other people.
Yeah.
And if it is something going on, take care of it.
Yeah.
Right there, then.
Yeah, because I feel like that is, I think it just starts whenever. Because I think just phases of life changes. Because emotional loneliness could be because of a heartbreak.
Yeah.
It don't even have to do with anything of, like, growing up. It could be literally that is what created that.
Yeah.
Environment or just that mentality of that's how you feel. Sometimes I also think that it's not talked about because I definitely think like the prior generations definitely struggle with it because because they only had, like you said, there was not an opening to talk about mental, emotional health. Like that wasn't a thing. So there was a lot that was not discussed or transparent when it came to our generation and like really telling us like this is something that you still may have to deal with without making it seem like it's so awkward or so bad. It's just sometimes that's how people feel. Because I feel like that's how people feel. Even it don't matter how much money you got. You can have all the money in the world and still feel like you by yourself. Because that didn't buy you anything. You bought the stuff, you bought the materials, you bought the land, you bought this.
You can buy friends.
You can, but then
Are they your friends though?
that's what I'm saying. So is there a side? There's always a pro and con to that.
Yeah.
Or dealing with people even when it comes to just business relationships. You get what I'm saying? Like depending on what your life is or what you're trying to do, you have to deal with it every day. That's whether it's in professional, your business, going to work like you deal with it constantly.
Yeah.
And what would that look like if your emotional loneliness was like shown on the outside? Because some people take people who are quiet is that, oh, you an introvert.
Yeah. Because I'm not that big of a people person. I mean, if I mess with you, I mess with you. But like on a regular basis, like no, I'm not walking up to nobody, starting a conversation, or stuff like that. Like I'm just like no, like this is not me. But I don't know when it comes to like the emotional part. I don't know. It's not necessarily like. I guess I kind of like being alone, just because I'm not that big of a people person. So it's like I don't know. I guess it's like less nonsense that I got to deal with.
Yeah.
Whether it could be something big or something small, like even like going on vacation with somebody, I would rather go by myself because I don't have to worry about nobody else. It's just me. Like, so it's just like when you doing, I just feel like a lot of people don't know how to be alone or to have necessarily a good time alone.
Which is you.
Yeah, and it's just like I feel like some people be like, oh, I have to go out with somebody, I have to go do this with somebody, and it's just I think it's okay to be alone sometimes. Like not to the point where you just like a hermit and you just like in the house or whatever all day every day, and just be like close the curtains, don't let the sun in, nothing like that.
At least have some type of human contact.
Yeah, but I don't know. I prefer to keep it small, keep it real small. Maybe 2 people, if anything.
Which is understandable because I think, especially in the time we live in, it's a hype around all these people because we got all this social media. So it's always a popularity contest.
Yeah.
Always. There's never a separation of like, what if I don't want to deal with all that?
Yeah.
Like some people I know that don't even have social media. They don't have anything to do with it. Cause in their mind, it's like it's always some type of popularity. Like you gotta chase friends or chase the attention of other people instead of just being like, this is what I'm doing and leave it at that. But it's always that, oh, the most popular, this is what we gotta do.
Yeah.
So I have a question. Can you have emotional loneliness within a relationship / marriage?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like that happens more often than a lot of people realize and understand.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because, like, we get upset at the other person, or, like, it could just be life in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like, working, sometimes your work schedules, they just never align.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always like, you end up coming home, y'all just passing off.
Mm-hmm.
And you could even be one like really just sit up and have a conversation, or you may even be talking, and it's just like you just don't feel like that person is
Mm-hmm.
really there for real. So it's very easy to happen. Just off of so many different factors that can and will come into play at some point in time of your relationship or your marriage.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like there should be, you have to, once you realize like that is the point that things are getting to,
Mm-hmm.
then if it's not really healthy, then there needs to be a conversation that's had to fix that on both ends.
Mm-hmm.
So neither party feels as if like they are alone and they're sleeping in this house, but there's no one over there.
Right.
It really is a lot easier to happen than people believe and think it is. Especially once you start living with somebody. Like when you're not living with them, it's different because you're not gonna see them every day anyways.
Right.
So technically, you don't really feel that way, I guess, in regards to a relationship. But I mean, once you kind of get in that point where you decide you want to move in with this person, take things a little bit further as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's so many different things that can come into play, especially when it comes to that aspect. I mean, because depression kind of falls along the same lines of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, I think it definitely can. I think it can enhance more. Cause you still an individual.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you still yourself. But you just, you attaching them too.
Yeah.
But I also believe that it's a thing within people, but I've seen people that have said, they grew apart
Mm-hmm.
because you change constantly. So as time has gone by, you may go into a whole nother phase of your life that person is just not. They're still like, okay, I'm still the same. But now I'm in this whole other phase, and I'm really trying to figure out, like, especially, I understood even with my parents, it was totally different raising us when we were little.
Mm-hmm.
Then when everybody grown out the house,
Mm-hmm.
that's a different aspect than when it was little.
Right.
And we were dependent on them. So there was not enough time, I don't think, where they had the ability to even process if they had that. Compared to now, you grown, you out, you doing. Now it's like, oh, I can really take down.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes, I can do that.
yeah, and you can see it a little more. But I definitely think it happens, like you said, more so than not. The more you spend with people, and that's not even just whether you in a romantic relationship or a marriage. I think it's just people in general who you call friends, your best friends, your people. That can still be a thing. Cause you have years spent, like this my best friend for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Something changed though.
Yeah.
You could tell if it's like, dang, something switched. I don't know when it happened.
Yeah.
But it did.
And people outgrow each other all the time.
And that's,
just
I
like
think,
friendships and.
but I think that's the thing where it's dealing with that too, with the separation, like separation anxiety, you know, and dealing with the emotional loneliness that comes with that. Cause somebody gotta make a decision.
Yeah.
Or a choice. Like, cause it's either yes or no.
Yeah, trust me. I know.
So you gotta, sometimes you just
Yeah.
have to, unfortunately, so have you guys ever dealt with it personally? Like dealt with emotional loneliness?
Yeah.
Like even just being, cause you guys are married, so have y'all ever actually personally had to deal with it? Even not just being married, but just period.
Yeah, multiple occasions. See, when I grew up, it was 5 of us, but I was the last one.
Mm-hmm.
So all my brothers and sisters, they grown.
Mm-hmm.
High school, they got boyfriends, girlfriends, and all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that doesn't mean I can have friends outside of them.
Right.
And people like, I had fun with it in the neighborhood, but a lot of times, I don't know if I want to use the word shelter,
Mm-hmm.
because I wasn't exactly sheltered, but a lot of things that I wanted to do personally as a kid growing up, my mom and my dad's way of protecting me was to kind of keep me more so away from it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like my brothers and sisters was outside running around, going to people's houses at night and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, no, you're not old enough. Like, you gotta be in here.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I'm looking out the window, I see all my friends playing and stuff. I want to go do that, but I can't.
Mm-hmm.
So, that means gradually getting older. I went to a lot of high schools when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, my friendships and stuff was changing
Constantly.
over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And I wasn't like socially awkward. I can go anywhere and make friends with people,
Mm-hmm.
which is like, I find that to be so crazy because like I didn't really get that opportunity to be out and just like enjoying myself without feeling like I was restricted in no kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's like I can go to any job and like I relate to people, I talk to people, and I don't find that difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very much so a people person.
Mhm.
It's just a lot of times it was just always me.
Right.
And like I didn't have those days like with my pops and stuff, like we was outside playing catch and all that stuff. I didn't even get the chance to just sit down and play the video game with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that alone was a issue or a trauma that I think it's like been in the back of my head that I never really sat down and thought about.
Mm-hmm.
And not even the physical aspect, just being able to say like I spent this time with him.
Right.
Like that and stuff like that just wasn't, it was never really there for me.
Yeah.
Everything I had to do and a lot of stuff that I had to figure out, I had to figure that out by myself.
Right.
I might have had my brothers and sisters to show me what I mean. They was too busy trying to live their life as well,
Right.
which is understandable,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you being the youngest out of all of them. So it was definitely a lot of times that comes into play dealing with, but that's why like right now, like I have a lot of friends that I can call and say like, hey, let's go do this and stuff. And it's not that I don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
I just got used to being where I am.
Mm-hmm.
And even what I do, like if I'm at home on a game, I'm talking to people and stuff. Like for me personally, I'm content with that. But that doesn't mean like if somebody invited me to go somewhere, I'm automatically like, yeah, no, I can't do that.
Right.
Like I'm afraid to go in the world or something.
Yeah.
I don't think it has nothing. I'm just accustomed to doing what I do
Mm-hmm.
because that's what I'm comfortable with.
Right.
But it be them days where it just be like, yeah, why ain't nobody hit me up today?
Mm-hmm.
Where we finna go? Like I don't want to always be in the house. But I just never felt like it was always necessary for me to go somewhere. Like especially now with all this crap going on.
Right.
Like if I'm at the house chilling, I'm at the house chilling. And if you want to go somewhere, we can go.
Right.
I'm saying the only thing that's going through my head is like total opposite because I'm like I'm outside. Not saying like that, but like I'm like I need to go somewhere. I don't know, like I don't have a problem sitting in the house per se, but like me, once again I'm not that big of a people person, but like I will like go somewhere, and I don't have an issue going by myself. So it's just like. I don't care, like, if it's a restaurant that I want to go to, like, I don't know, some people be like, oh, you look like a lonely person, you just sitting there by yourself eating lunch or whatever. Me, I do not care. Like,
Right.
if it's somewhere I want to go, like, whether it's a restaurant or bar or something, I'm like, I'm going to go. I don't have to necessarily, like, have somebody to go with me all the time, but, I mean, at the same point, I mean, I feel like me growing up, I feel like it was definitely total opposite. Like I definitely had the freedom to go and come as I please for the most part, and so it was like I was always out with my friends and stuff like that or whatever, and going to the parties, kicking it, and just running up and down the street, stuff like that. But I feel like now, I feel like now I would it's like a 70-30.
Okay.
I would rather be by myself. Just cause like, I don't know, like I don't have to deal with nobody else's nonsense, no extra drama, like whatever is going on, it's just me, like I just need to focus on me and just get through whatever I need to get through. It's not like, I don't know, I know some people when they go on vacations with, when they be the girl trips and the group trips, and it's like, ugh, like sometimes it can be good, and then other times it's pure hell. Me, I be like, y'all all staying together. I'm like, I'm gonna go get my own space over here, cause it's like it's less drama, it's less nonsense. Like so, it's like I'm there, but I'm like also still over here to myself. I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely feel like it can be both. I think it definitely can change. Like you said, when you were younger, you kind of used to, but I was used to being either or. Like I like the ability to go out, but I also love the ability to be to myself. Like I was very good at punishment wasn't punishment for me. Like if you told me I had to go in my room, it was like, oh, okay. Like I'm fine. Like it wasn't like you had to figure something else out because I was fine with being by myself. Because I'm drawing, I'm reading, I'm gonna create something in this room. So it's like you have to do a little bit harder to make it feel like it's a punishment for me.
Take some stuff away from me.
Because if you told me go in my room, I was cool. You want punishment? Yeah. But I done drew some. I'm up here creating. Like I'm gonna do something.
You still in a good mindset.
I'm still in a good mindset. Like this. Oh, you said inside. Okay.
Hurt me.
No. It's not hurting me.
Yeah.
But also, like I said, I like both. Being outside, but I was also very aware of where I was and who I was with. You only have, even now, you only got one shot. We together, and you only get one shot. There's no 2-3 times because to me, because I'm not particularly like that. I don't like that atmosphere, so I'm automatically be like, yeah, that was cool. Or I always have to have me escape way, like, cause it in my mind was like I never liked felt like I was being held hostage. Like I can't get out. So that's for me, it was like if we going, that was my thing. Because it was like, because if you're doing too, I'm out. I don't want to. That's too much. Like I want to have a good time, but I be having a good time and having peace with. Like I don't need all that extra stuff. All that extra stuff is too much.
Going to the club fighting.
I don't need all that extra unnecessary attention. No. Like just let it be how it's gonna be and enjoy.
Have a good night and that's it.
I don't need all that.
We ain't going to jail. We ain't getting pulled over. We ain't
not
doing
none of that
stuff.
Like I don't want to be associated with it.
Not at all.
So I think that was the thing too, because like I said, even being in those type of atmospheres, I still would be in the back of my mind like, either I done got bored with being here, or whatever we're doing, and I'll be ready to go.
Yeah.
Because like you said, I have a real thing, especially as I got older, I always like being to myself anyway, but as I got older, like, I like to live out in the country, and I drive to work in the city. Being in the city, it'd be like, it's overwhelming. Cause I'm like, it's always something.
Yeah.
And you just want to be able to go home and have some peace. Where it's just like, but what? You want to call before you go.
Yeah.
Like, really call before you go.
Yeah.
And I see why people have, I didn't get it when I was younger. Cause I was, oh, I love the city. But as I got older, I understood why a lot of people moved outside city lines and be like, oh, you live where? Oh, I'm all the way out in the country.
Yeah.
Why you live out there? Cause it's quiet. And then you see why, like, as you get older, you be like, I would never live out all the way out in the country. Yes, I would. Cause I feel like it's not even just like an emotional loneliness. I think it just brings a lot of people, some people, peace. Because you content. It's a lot of things you don't have to worry about or adjust to. It's like you said, you're comfortable and content. It ain't that you couldn't. It's just you like discontentment. Instead of being like, oh, I'm gonna just go out just to go out. I'm not saying you can't, because sometimes you do have that urge to be like, you know what, I just want to be outside.
Yeah.
I just want to go outside today. I don't even know why I'm going outside, but or I'm just taking me a drive just because you want to be outside. But I think that a lot of times we don't even talk about it or discuss it, what that even looks like. What would you tell the next generation, even your children, about dealing with emotional loneliness? Because like you said, y'all are different parents than y'all parents was to y'all. So it's a lot different. You know, that was not talked about. That wasn't discussed. It was just like, you'll be okay. All right, going over there. Or they found you the opposite. If you did deal with emotional loneliness, like they found you that way. You were labeled that way. Oh, you're just awkward, you're loner, you're weird. You're not weird if you just don't want to be bothered with a whole bunch of people.
I mean, I tell my kids all the time, I be like, there's nothing wrong with weird. I'm like, if somebody call you weird, I'm like, so what?
But
I'm
everybody's
like,
weird.
I said, what's normal? Tell me that. Like,
because everybody's weird.
Say, no, exactly. Look, I'm like, everybody got something. It could be something little, something big.
It doesn't matter.
Everybody got something.
Right.
So, like, when it comes to stuff like that, I tell my kids, don't pay that part no attention. And I tell them that it is okay to be by yourself. Like, you're not going to be surrounded by people 24/7, whether you want to or you don't want to. I'm like, sometimes things happen. I'm like, you don't have good days, you don't have bad days. So it's just like, if you need somebody to talk to, just let me know. If I cannot help you and we need to further to get somebody else, then that could be an option. But I'm like, you don't have to sit up here and try to make 1,000 friends and impress everybody and things like that. Like, I just think that it's not necessary to try to impress the world.
Right.
So it's just like, when it comes to, oh, I only got 2 friends. And it's like, as a kid, you might look at that as bad, but when you get older, you're gonna be like, these are only 2 motherfuckers I need. Like, I mean, besides your family, it's just like, I don't know. I keep my circle small and tight, so it's just like, I don't know, I feel like the more people, you never really know people's true thoughts. And they always say it's always a hater in the group.
Right.
Or stuff like that. So it's just like, just weed them out, make smart decisions.
I think for kids growing up in general, just males and females, they have a different perspective on how they look at stuff like that. Like, males are growing up, or at least they were, that we have to, we gotta figure this out, we gotta figure that out. Now we starting to see girls that might be cute or something that we want to talk to. We don't know how to approach them. You can't really be upset. You gotta be tough all the time. At least that was the narrative that was being created.
Right.
And even like with little girls growing up, most of the fathers that I know that have daughters, like they are not teaching them to hate boys, but they teaching them to stay away from them. Yeah. And as they're growing up, not only do you have that, but then you have the social side of it as well. Like, well, why they like her when they like me? Why is my hair not like this, or why my body don't look like that? Whatever. Like, there's so many different aspects that both sides have to deal with and go through that can end up unconsciously creating that loneliness that you didn't even realize was getting ready to be here.
Right.
And like I tell my son all the time, almost every morning, I say you need to be a leader and not a follower. You don't have to follow what everybody else do. You don't have to follow their trends. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do that. Like we was talking about shoes one day. I said, Kevin, take the shoe off your foot that you bought from this store and tell me where it's made from. He said it was made in Vietnam. I said, okay. I said, that's how you go to school. Tell this kid, if y'all talking about shoes, ask him where his shoe is made. Once you find that out, come back home and let me know. Because they was having a conversation about shoes and all this other stuff, but half of these people and kids nowadays, they are not even educated on what it is, and kids are mean. Kids are so mean. They, especially to adults, but to other kids, like they are just, they don't cuss, they don't like use all this, but the way they go about it and stuff that they say, they are just so freaking mean, though. It's ridiculous. And half of the time they don't even know. And I tell my son, like, if somebody bothering you, it's because they dealing with some at-home trauma most of the time. And they have to take it out on somebody, and they look at you as a weakling. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, I could do this to him. He gonna be like this or whatever. And you don't have to retaliate in no kind of way, but you don't have to sit there and take stuff like that from people either. So that's why, like, it's a lot of stuff that comes into play for kids growing up, because we as parents have to make sure we help our kids understand that having a sense of loneliness or having an understanding of how to be just you and content within yourself is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you feeling alone because you truly feel like there's no one else in the world around you that can either help you deal with what's going on or help you get through it or whatever, then yeah, then it becomes an issue then, because you should speak to someone. Right. You gotta speak to us as parents. If it's not us, speak to your grandparents. Speak to your friends. Like, a lot of my friends, like, I was able to talk to their parents if my parents weren't available. Right. But that's just because that's how we grew up at the time. Most of all of our parents know each other. They didn't grow up around each other, but they was at different school plays, or they was here, or at birthday parties, whatever. So I would definitely say, just take the time to have conversations with your partners, with your kids, even nieces and nephews, because all of us deal with it. We are human beings. Right. It don't matter what age you are, what color, whatever. We all deal with it in our own way.
Yeah. And I think it's just a thing of this generation has so much extra influence than we did. Because we seen them on the TV. You know, this is when they had just first started using YouTube. And you could see the whole video. And then we had MySpace. You know, so it was limited with a lot of things to where we were able to not have as much openness. You know, we didn't have access to even celebrities. Like we knew them as far as what we seen on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was MTV Raps, 106 in Park, like that's how you seen them.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't see them on no social media where
Yeah.
their everyday life if they choose to post that. But I think because of the influence that is out there, they're trying to be something that that's not even them. But they're trying to push the narrative because they see what has made other people who've done it successful.
Mm-hmm.
So they look at it as, oh, that's my way out. That's the easiest way out. Compared to realizing that most of the people that you're looking at deal with the same issues you deal with. It's just they have more money. So they have better access, better materials, but they deal with the same stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't necessarily show it as much as, you know, a normal person would deal with, but definitely learning to deal with who you are and how to process that self-love, because that's the biggest part, because you got to learn how to deal with self-love. Then you can learn how to deal with your emotional loneliness, because I don't think you can overstep that without adding that to the equation.
Yeah.
Because they go hand in hand. But like you said, it has to be talked about. There has to be resources. There has to be some type of connection to pull, you know, young people, kids. They gotta be able to feel that. Because I know kids are very susceptible to other people. Because I know when I was a kid, if I ain't like you, I ain't like you. Like it wasn't, I didn't know, because most kids, most babies, most children don't know how to separate the two.
Mm-hmm.
So they just like, either they like you or they don't fool with you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, there was no thing, even though, you know, our generation was kind of, I wouldn't say forced, but we were like, oh, that's being rude.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When in all actuality, you're like, maybe it's something about them that's throwing off the child. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Something could be going on to where they don't look at it like that. But it's definitely something we gotta continue to talk about, continue to express. I just thought this was something that adults definitely don't talk about. What I'm like, we deal with it every day on occasion. Just trying to get through life. And that could be whether you at your job where you just be like, you will be completely doing your job the right way and still have to deal with that emotional loneliness or like that. I still don't feel like I'm a part of the team, or I'm a part of the squad, or I'm a part of, this company. I still feel like I'm on the outside. So I definitely think it's something that has to be continued to be discussed, and just having an open forum and understanding of where people are trying to go, how they're trying to process life, and just moving forward. Because like I said, mental health is a big thing that should always be talked about, because you just don't know. What looks good on the outside can be messed up on the inside. People just dealing with a lot. But they look happy, they look refreshed, they look like there's nothing wrong. But can also be dealing with a lot of stuff on the inside.
Yeah.
But they just trying to make it day by day. So we missing our counterpart today, Big Ron. But we're the Culture Mix. We're excited for how far we've come with just these 12 episodes. And what we're getting ready to do going forward. I'm one of your hosts, Marie.
I'm Taj.
I'm certified.